Thanks for talking with me today.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
So I just wanted to tell everyone about our new program that we're offering. And before we do that, I just wanted to go a little bit into your background. If you wanted to tell our audience that's watching this video, like, I know our main thing is energy. Energy. Can you tell me a little bit about your background, how this started for you?
Well, in the in the form that we have now, human consciousness, it's been a lifetime really in the making. I began my journey probably when I was about 11, well, probably before this, maybe another lifetime, but when I was about 11 years old, I got fascinated with Egyptology. And we had a book report to do, and I did the book report, and then I went way over and above board, and I did some thing where I spoke in front of the class. And interestingly, many years later, the first person that signed up for my polarity classes remembered being in my 6th grade class where I did that presentation. I thought that was sort of serendipitous and a sign. That was in the 90s. But anyway, I got fascinated with Egyptology, and then I discovered Hermes probably when I was about 12 or 13, in the form of Thoth. And I was always an avid reader and always an avid studier. I was introduced very young to yoga, and all of the, I want to call them theologies, started to come together for me in my late teens, early 20s. Anyway, I had a long journey. I traveled for some years with a native medicine man in my late 30s, early 40s. And around the same time, I went to have a bodywork session with a friend of mine who had just come back from a weekend training with a man named John Beaulieu. And I didn't know it at the time. She was working on me, and she was working between hands-on and hands-off. And I was noticing when she was doing hands-off work with me and then hands-on again, I could feel the energy in my body moving. And I was pretty familiar with energy, having studied yoga and having a pretty clear and conscious awareness of my physical body from a very young age. And I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Well, that's what I just went away for the weekend to learn, some polarity with this man, this fabulous man named John Beaulieu." And I said, I have to know. She said, "Well, he's down on Leonard Street." So I got up off that table that day, went home, and that night made the phone call. I had already studied a little bit of Traeger work. I'd studied a little bit of something called Van Leeuwen work. I mean, I had dabbled in all kinds of hands-on energy work and energetic work done in presence with another human being. Anyway, I went to this class for the weekend with a Polarity 1 class with John, and it was amazing. There were 4 people in the class. A woman who now has a Polarity school in Israel was teaching the Polarity 1 class to 4 of us, and her name is Ann Seaham. And it was an absolutely marvelous class. It was everything I had ever dreamed of bringing into work. And I realized that was just at the beginning. So the next 5 years, I continued to travel to Leonard Street 3 times a week, 2 weeknights and all weekends. For 5 years, it took me a little longer because I had 2 young children at the time. So I had to work it out with my husband and whatnot. But I spent the next 5 years studying polarity work and became a practitioner, and soon thereafter a teacher. And that was, I graduated in 1994 or 5, somewhere in there. And I opened the school in 95 and brought some of John's student teachers on board with me to help me teach, Lisa Shimsky and Ann Seaham. So, yeah. It's 25 years now our school has been there. That's at the Yoga and Polarity Center in Malvern. And recently I came on with you, Erica, to teach at 3 Elements. I've taught all over the world. I taught in Switzerland and Ireland and Arizona and California and various other places for little pieces of everything. But my the essential work I've done right here at home. And it's really good to be teaching with you now. So.
Yeah, I know we've ran a few programs, about two, I think, in the past 2 years together, and I'm always amazed about the way that really this program affects people and impacts people in their lives. Like the things that people say are so moving and so heartfelt. And the empowerment piece is really what gets to me, like how much empowerment this program gives, which is really what called me to it. I think the way that you are able to translate the work for people to take with them is really magic. Like, can you talk a little bit about the empowerment piece of this program?
Yeah, I owe a great deal to Dr. John Beaulieu, to John Chitty, who's deceased this past year, to people who've written books like Gary Peterson, clearly to the three initiates who wrote the Kybalion. Because the development of this program came from the development of those programs and me studying more specifically with John than anyone else. And there's a way to translate the work into self-awareness, which leads to consciousness. To be brief about it, we were all in the trance of this life. You know, we're all in some preconceived notion built out of our, family of origin, our place of nurture, and then of course our own nature. And we come in and we utilize and invest in core beliefs that come from childhood. So it's really very, very slow process. It's not something you can go and learn in a weekend, because it's a self process that helps you to attain self-awareness. And that self-awareness isn't something you can just close your eyes and then have. It comes with a lot of work and a lot of introspection and a lot of work with others. We're here together for a reason. So this program is a pretty definitive step-by-step process where you learn self-awareness and to awareness of your own participation in life. And it is pretty magical. It was magical for me when I took it. It's been magical teaching it to students over the years. So.
Right, like we all say the word consciousness, but it is such a deep and profound journey that everyone has in their own way. And I think this program really offers people that gateway into their consciousness process. And I think that's been such an amazing thing to witness for myself and for the people who've joined the programs. The process of becoming conscious and really knowing what that means, that it's no longer just a thing, but it's really like an embodiment of the process and our understanding of ourselves. Like, I know we say it's like the master key to understanding life, and more so understanding ourselves. How do you feel about that?
Well, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay.
Energetics is the only clean and clear way. Elemental energetics is the only clean and clear way. Harkening back even to maybe Ayurveda, as it's understood and laid out in Rig Veda. But from the step-down model that Hermes gave us 12,000 years ago, the only way to truly understand yourself is to understand your energetic self, because it goes beyond thoughts, it goes beyond physical experiences, it goes beyond emotional imbroglios, it focuses on your own natural and then created self. And energetics lend themselves to seeing something in a neutral way rather than a very charged way. And we teach you about charges in the program. We teach you about how to recognize those things. We teach you about the level of participation you have in all your relationships and with all your relations, and how that becomes a very directive force in your life, and how to maybe, maybe dismantle, take another look at that construct that you've participated in, and maybe move a few of the bricks around a little bit so that things become easier for you. So life becomes something that you are enjoying rather than something you're tolerating.
Right. Now, for people who are watching who are not familiar with Hermes, I know we call this a Hermetic program, that we're going into the deep mysteries of life and creation and everything. Are you able to just give a little bit of an understanding of that? Just a little. I know it's hard to put into.
It's in part of the first module that we teach, but I'll just give you a brief overview. There was a man, and Trismegistus or Trismegistus, it means Hermes the thrice great. And that thrice great refers to the three-pole or the triune model of life force. It's not just the dualistic model that we see, up, down, black, white, side, side, this, that. It's a tripole model that allows for shift and movement in consciousness and in reality, in the real world. Hermes was supposedly the actual one who was the father of all modern alchemical medicine. His staff is evident. We call it the staff of Hippocrates because the Greeks turned I don't want to call it a deity, the personification of Hermes into the persona of Hippocrates in their mythology and their literature. So Hermes became Hippocrates to the Greek, and Hippocrates became the father of medicine. And we recognize Hermes in our culture. The logos of the American Medical Association is the staff of Hermes, more known to us as the staff of Hippocrates. So he is a 12,000-year-old alchemist who taught us about our energetic being, and who is now just an echo down the hallways of Solomon and Hippocrates and all of our truth holders, all of the ones who hold the energetic truth of what a human being really is, which is an energetically propelled conglomerate of the 5 elements. We are a living, breathing, relating model of life force.
Right, life force. Thank you for that. Can we talk a little bit about the Human Consciousness program that we're offering? I know we're going to offer it online this fall, starting September 26th. Can you just tell a little bit about the benefits of someone who is considering maybe joining us?
I would say that if you start psychotherapy before this course, you'll probably walk around with one foot nailed to the floor for years. If you start the psychotherapy after taking this course, you'll start to come to all your realities and realizations, because it'll be a lot easier for any therapist to work with your realities. I say it's worth 5 years of psychotherapy, really, because you begin to know yourself. Physician, know thyself. And knowing yourself is the key to happiness. It's the key to awareness. It's the key to all good things in this lifetime, no matter what your circumstances. So the benefit would be, just the realization of the possibilities of your life, and the joy, the profound joy possible after you realize this, the awareness that you can manifest only so much and the rest of it's out of your control. The losing, shall I say, over time in this program and through this 20-module program, you begin to see the edges of taking yourself out of victim roles that you didn't even realize you were participating in, so that you become more the captain of your own ship, and less is left to chance and more is left to your own awareness and your own choice and power. It's a way of taking personal, authentic power.
Right. I know I've witnessed that people say that they had been in therapy for many, many years, and that this program has changed their lives in ways that they couldn't imagine. So it's really like a whole new way to see yourself. And I know we use the word participate in a conscious way. Like, you still participate in your life, obviously, but you are so much more aware of what you want to participate in, or maybe what you were. For me, the word unconscious has always been very powerful, because we live so much of our lives unconsciously, and this kind of makes you more able to just have an understanding of what that really means for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well said.
Can you talk a little bit about the program and the structure and what people can expect from the program?
The way we have structured this program, it builds slowly, incorporating the physical, the somatic, very slowly into the understandings, and then it builds to the actual exploration, if you will, I think that's a good word, of emotional participation, and finally landing squarely in the physical body. At the end of the 20 modules, looking at the reflex body, we actually teach quite a bit of body work that's both elemental and reflex body that you can do on family and friends and yourself. And leads to, again, the mind, the emotions, and the body are not separate, they are one. So all of these pieces need to be constructed, reconstructed for you in a very particular way. And we do that very, very slowly and carefully over a period of 10 months in 20 modules. We have 4 teachers, myself, Wendy Newton, who's been a student and teacher for at least 12 years now, Mark Hubbard, who has been a student for about 15 years and has been teaching for 3 or 4. Elizabeth Ferrara, a student for nearly 20 years and a teacher now for about 7. And we have another participant he's an admin participant. He's an avid therapist. He worked in corrections for years and was made the employee assistance program supervisor because he was a polarity therapist. So he sort of holds an outer space for us, always being there for students as a link between student and faculty. So I would like to really invite everyone to join us, everyone that may be interested in this. We're having a nice little question and answer evening sponsored by 3 Elements. And I believe it's July 28th at 6:30 p.m. It'll last till about 8 o'clock. So it'll be a good time for you to come in and ask any questions that you have. If you want to contact me in any way, you can get in touch with 3 Elements and they will forward the requests to me, and I will make sure to get in touch with you by phone or through text to make an arrangement to speak to you on the phone. Any other questions that you have about the program, you can find most of the details on the 3 Elements website. The Yoga and Polarity Center website will be up soon, the end of July, so by the time we're on the call together, it should be accessible there too. And it would really be great to see you there. If you're looking at this now, I'm imagining that we're somehow connected in the energetic field of Hermetic knowings and understandings. And God bless you and be well and walk in beauty.